What's up, everybody?
We did it.
I did it. It kills me because that takes forever, and you're like, "Is it going to work? It's not going to work. Why am I sitting here?" I am super stoked about today's guest. This is one of those things where the universe brought us together. We were attending a convention together, or an unconvention, for women chiropractors, and there were so many amazing people who were in attendance, like just some amazing people. And we get to this luncheon and we have assigned seating, which means you don't get to sit with your little posse of people that you know.
Mm-hmm.
And which I was horrified at the moment. Luckily they didn't tell us
turned out
walking in the room, right? They don't tell you until you're walking in, you have assigned seats and they're separating you from your people. Which was like the greatest thing because I would have sat with the 6 people that I knew. And instead I got to sit next to Lauryn. And I was like, my heart was racing. And she sits down, she's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And it was just like, I love it.
It's like girlfriends at first sight.
It was, which is so funny. So then we start talking about, her office, her chiropractic office, her podcast. If you're not listening to her podcast, She Slays Today. It is definitely one of my favorite that I am listening to right now. I love podcasts. I hate social media, which is so funny, which is what I tell her because she's like a social media guru, influencer. And your social media posts are so funny and fabulous. So we were talking about how much I hate social media. I rarely post on social media. I get in trouble a lot for not posting enough on social media. And so I told her after this lunch, I was like, okay, I'm going to start posting more on social media. And I've gotten a little lax during the holidays. But I posted that weekend. Like I went on Instagram, hadn't been in there in like 8 months, and I posted something. So I started posting more stuff on social, and really I'm just like trying to copy some of the cool stuff that you do. And it's really funny because even like the number of people who follow me and like, comment on stuff has been really incredible. And people have even said stuff to me as I'm traveling around the country. They're like, "Oh, you're posting on social, and I really like that." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's all Lauryn."
Yeah, it's no big deal, guys. It's fine. It's fine.
You totally talked me into it. But I think what is so cool that I loved, well, first of all, let me introduce y'all to Dr. Lauryn Brunclik. I said that right, didn't I?
No, but that's okay. It's Brunclik.
Everybody.
Mm-hmm. It's a weird spelling.
So every night before one of these, I go to sleep and I'm terrified I'm going to mispronounce somebody's name like all the time. I never get anybody whose last name is like Smith, White, Jones.
I used to be Sand.
That's Sand?
Sand. S-A-N-D. That was my last name before I got married. Nobody would have mispronounced that.
No, but it doesn't really fit you the same.
I guess not.
Brunswick definitely goes with your personality. Yeah. So the really cool thing, she has so much incredible advice on like social media, like posting and basically breaking down the walls of it's not as complicated as we make it to be. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the stuff that we are fed in business, and you guys are as business owners, is a lot of the junk that they tell you, you have to do it this way, you need to do it like this, is all wrong for chiropractic. And I will say that in the last couple of years, and I think I even told you, we always struggled with social media from a company standpoint. And when we stopped listening to what social media experts were telling other business owners to do and kind of did something different, that is when things definitely worked out better. So Lauryn, how long, because you've been like, you are a major social media influencer.
Well, by Instagram standards, I'm a micro influencer because I have less than 100,000 followers.
But in chiropractic, you are a major influencer.
I mean, now you're going to make me blush. So how long have I been in social media, like involved in social media?
Yeah.
So I've been in practice 11 years. And back in 2010, when I started, Facebook was a thing, but I was using it to, like, I was 24, post like photos from drinking and going out and things like that. And even as I started getting at practice, I had a kid, really Facebook, we had a Facebook page, but you know, it was a pretty just very, it wasn't like I was obsessed with it like I am now. Kind of over the last 3 years is where I've seen social media really replace a lot of the different ways that we communicate with our patients, and in a more effective way. So when used effectively, it's more effective than radio, newspaper, emails. I mean, email had like its little heyday where it was like, oh, send emails. And then like everybody got emails. And so then all of a sudden you're just automatically sent to spam. Like someone's like, all right, that's not effective. And so when it started looking at our return on time, when approaching social media with a strategy, it was really just the best use of time to actually get patients. And keep in mind, I'm in a town of 9,000 people. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, but I'm in this bustling city, so of course social media. The other thing, I know I look really young, but I'm 35. So like Facebook came out when I was in college. So I think a lot of why I resonate with people is because I kind of straddle that line between like, no. Okay, listen, I get it that you don't want to sing and dance. I don't want to do that either. But I've had to like figure it out. So I kind of am also with like people a little older than me of like, no. I know it's not like, I'm not an early adapter. I don't Snapchat. I watch TikTok videos with my daughters, but it's mostly like puppies and like baking stuff. But I don't really, I mean, Instagram, you know, so it's not like I'm like this social media guru compared to other social media. I'm just like, okay, I am uber practical when it comes to social media and applying it to the chiropractic office. So like sometimes people, like some of the social media advice you get, I'm just like, that's not relevant. That's not relevant to the chiropractic practice or just a brick and mortar. And so I've really over the last few years kind of become obsessed with figuring out like, okay, post something, why did that work? Okay, post something, why did that not work? And like really trying to figure out how to get your biggest bang for your buck when it comes to time and converting. Like I love figuring out like what's the best way to actually make this social media worth time. So it's been a lot of like lessons and I just think it's fun.
Well, and I will say too that when I heard you speak in Florida, you were talking about a lot of those misconceptions about, you know, when you start a Facebook page, like you don't want somebody to find your business and you only have like 100 people that like you. So you go in there and you try to get everybody you know to like you on Facebook, and how that actually works against you, not for you, when you're trying to use Facebook to convert to new patients. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest mistakes I see people doing on all social media platforms is we fall prey to vanity numbers. Vanity numbers are number of followers, number of views. Those are the two, like 10, but like that we tend to kind of obsess about. So what happens is we start our Facebook page, and Facebook makes it easier than Instagram because you can't really invite people to like your Instagram page. So Facebook, you can start a business page and then you can just invite every single person that you're a friend with. Now, if you're just starting a practice, a lot of your friends on Facebook are probably other chiropractors that you went to school with, met at conventions, your family, your drinking buddies from college, like your elementary friends' parents, your grandparents. Like, so a lot of the people that you're inviting to like your Facebook page are not, because they live across the country, and are not your ideal patient. So then what happens is you have all of these people that you're inviting to like your Facebook page, but the way Facebook is set up is it's trying, or social media in general, is it's trying to constantly learn who do you want to see yours information and content and who likes your content. And that's the big thing is like, what'll happen is if you invite all of these people across the country, that are your family and your friends, and they like chiropractic to like your page. And then you post something of like, hey, we're running a new patient special, our first month in practice. Guess who Facebook shows it to? Your Aunt Kathy, your chiropractic friends. It doesn't show it to the people in your town because it's trying to learn you. And it goes, oh, okay. Well, the people who engage in your product or your content that you're trying to sell is all over the place. And so you really kind of screw yourself because you're trying to get a ton of Facebook friends or followers or likes or whatever. And you don't care about quality. You're just caring about quantity. So then you just kind of screw yourself.
Right. Which I think is part of the reason that you end up with so much more interaction from people, because you are communicating with your community. So one of the things that Lauryn does is she speaks around the country so that everybody goes and likes her Facebook page. And then like once a month, she and her husband go in there and they they boot you out because you're messing with their numbers.
I used to, and now it got destroyed by Reels, which is kind of a sensitive topic because everybody wants to think that going viral is the greatest thing in the world. But our clinic Instagram account, we used to delete chiropractors all the time. We had like 900 and some followers, and I've had it for, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, whatever. But we're in a small town and not a ton of people using Instagram. So a lot of people using Facebook. And so like, yeah, once a month I'd go on and go through followers and just delete chiropractors because I didn't want them liking my content. I wanted local people liking my content. But then we had a couple reels just go stupid viral and we gained like thousands and thousands of followers. So now the account's kind of trash, but
it is, which is so funny because I was going to bring that up next, which is, when you're in Facebook and you're scrolling through. One day last week, I was flipping through and it has that string of videos that it recommends you watch. And the video that trashed your page popped
the
up.
baby going poop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I busted out laughing and I was like, oh, this is a sore subject, but it's a funny video.
Rest in peace, my Instagram account. Yeah, it is. And if you want to go viral, definitely babies potentially pooping their pants is great. The baby didn't actually poop in there. It was a stupid reel. Like we made it because we had a new patient cancel. So we had like 20 minutes on our schedule and we're like, what should we do? Let's make a reel. And so like we posted it and then like, yeah, it went crazy.
Yes. She actually thought about like totally trashing the whole thing and
starting
from scratch.
I still think about it. We have like 15,000 followers on that brick and mortar. So keep in mind that when I'm talking about this account, it is our brick and mortar chiropractic clinic account. Okay. So I don't want, because I should probably take a step back and explain to people like what happens when you have quantity over quality followers. So Instagram will only really show, they have both Instagram and Facebook. Social media has like percentages that it will show just naturally when you do a post. So for simple math, gosh, I said that, but like, I don't know if this is about to be simple in my head. I'm not a math. Okay. So let's say you have 500 followers on either Facebook or Instagram, whatever. And you post a stagnant photo. It's an educational photo. And on average, well, if it's on Facebook, Facebook is going to show that to probably 2 to 3% of your followers just organically to see how they test. And on Instagram, maybe 5 to 10. And it's really going to put it out there and be like, all right, do people like this? So if people just kind of scroll past it, like your followers, your top fans is what like Facebook will call it. These are your like groupies. These are the people who like all your photos, share your stuff, all of that. So it'll kind of test it with them and be like, how do they respond? Because if your top fans don't even like it, it's not good content. All right. Because that's all that social media cares about is, do people like and engage what you're putting out there? unless you're talking about vaccines, and then they will squash you and like this and that. But for the most part, they don't care. They don't have a chip on their shoulders about chiropractic. They just want to know, like, is what you're posting, do other people find it entertaining? Because the number one goal they have for social media is keeping people on their platform. So if you're delivering boring stuff, they don't want to show that to people because people will get bored and leave. So they'll start it out with your initial, small group of people. If they react well to it, maybe they like it, maybe they comment on it, maybe they even share it, then that tells the algorithm on both social media platforms, this may be a worthy post to share with more people. So then it kind of goes out to this next outer ring. Now, these usually are still your followers. So again, in this scenario, you had 500 people. Oh shit, I don't know what 2 to 3% of 500 people is. Why did I do this?
So you're like 10 to 15 people.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. I was pretending. I know math. So, it kind of shows that your top 15. So then let's say it performs well. So then it kind of shows it closer to that 10%. So it's testing, and these are still your followers, seeing like, all right, do the 50 to 100 people, how are they doing? How do they react? Did they still like it? And if it does well, that's when it then starts showing to people that are not your followers, but the algorithm is starting to test because the algorithm wants to pair you. It wants to love match you with people who like your content. But if you're constantly collecting people who are not in your geography, who are not your ideal market, when Facebook gets to this point, or the algorithm on social media gets to this next point of like, who should we show it to? It's not going to start showing it just to your town like you want it to, right? Like you want to go viral in your town. That's not what it does. It starts going, well, she's got like 20 people over in San Diego, so let's start showing it. And a lot of chiropractors. So let's start showing it to chiropractors across the country. And social media starts trying to figure it out. So you have very little control when things go like viral. But there's lots of things that you can do to help the algorithms on social media learn who you want to see your content, because then when you do post something that starts doing well, then they start showing it to the people you want. But you have to completely get rid of like vanity metrics and that. You have to be okay with having 200 people follow your page, not 2,000 or 20,000. Last week on December 23rd, actually, I had 2 reels on She Slays. So I have my brick and mortar page. I have my personal page that like, I don't even do anything with really, because like 2 social media accounts is enough. It's too many. And then I have my She Slays the Day podcast. Now, brick and mortar page, I want Northwest Wisconsin females. 25 to 55, please. Then I have my She Slays, where I really just want chiropractors, because I post a lot of like snarky shit over on, sorry, I should have asked if over on She Slays. Like it's a lot of like insider joking stuff with other chiropractors. And a lot of it might be on like making sure you're selling well. And sometimes like I have a huge heart. We've talked about this. Chiropractors have the biggest hearts. But like if you're worried that patients and like the consumer is like you, then you have to like kind of like phrase things differently. So I like my She Slays account to be chiropractors, so we can just not beat around the bush and like talk and train together. So anyway, so it's December 23rd, and I have 2 reels over on my She Slays account that are starting to go viral. Now, if people care about like viral, like what does going viral mean? I mean, it really depends on how many followers you have. If you have 20 followers and all of a sudden you have a reel or a post, something that you've posted that has like 5 to 10 times the number of followers you have, you're going viral. Like, good job. That means that the algorithm has taken your content and said, I think people are going to like this, and has started sharing it. So in my experience, as long as we stay under like 50,000 views, you're kind of in the safe zone. The trolls don't really start to come out yet. Like, and I'm a pediatric chiropractor, so believe me, like trolls come at they love to come at and comment on like how unsafe it is to adjust babies and all this stuff. So before 50,000, you're kind of like doing okay. Once you get to that like 70 to 100,000, all of a sudden you start kind of getting massive amounts of followers, like way more. Like you might get this amount of followers in a single hour that you would get in an entire month. And then comments start happening. And they're not all bad comments, of course not. Like, right? Like some of the comments are like, oh my gosh, I took my baby to a chiropractor and it was the greatest thing we've ever done. Fantastic. They're not all that nice though. And so a lot of these people, so what's happening is December 23rd, I have 2 reels going viral and I start getting a lot of followers. And I'm like looking at the followers and none of them are chiropractors. And I'm like, what should I do here? And then comments start happening. And I'm like going into Christmas Eve with my damn family, and I don't want to be babysitting these reels that are going viral and having all these random people liking and commenting on my page that is for chiropractors. So I deleted them. I deleted 2 reels, like the exact opposite of what we were being told to do by social media people. They're like, a lot of people are saying like the goal is to go viral. And I'm like, I've gone viral multiple times. It's not making you money.
No.
If you're a brick and mortar.
So how do you, I mean, obviously you've been doing this, you said 5 or 6 years now with the social media. So it takes time to kind of find your groove and to find the content. How do you come up with relevant content that your potential patients in your community react to?
It's a great question, because knowing what to post is a big thing that people really struggle with. And it's because they think like the world is their oyster as far as content or like options. So I recommend, and so for this case, we'll just kind of assume we're talking to like brick and mortars, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, I recommend having about 9 different buckets or categories that you kind of bounce in between. And it's going to be different for whatever kind of chiropractor you are. So you might want, especially if you want to stay really like community focused, one of your buckets might be community involvement. So whether it's a picture of you serving at the soup kitchen and just being like, this last Thursday, this or that, or maybe it's like, hey, this nonprofit is doing this free event, like families, go check it out and support them. So like community might be one of your buckets. Maybe prenatal care is one of your buckets. Maybe anxiety in teenagers is one of your buckets. So anyway, so you have these different categories. The reason I pick 9 is because when you go on Instagram, when somebody comes to your bio page, what will happen is they'll see typically your last 9 posts. So there's nothing magical about 9. You can have 7, you can have 12. I don't want you to have more than 12. That's a lot. But like, you could have just funny memes, funny mom memes can be one of your buckets. Like, it's okay. Have some educational stuff in there. What a day, like what interacting at your clinic is like. So this would be a bucket that you would talk about. What's a day 1 like? Why do we dive so deep on the new patient phone call? What is an insight scan and why do we do it? Like testimonials could be one. So really sit down and write down like 20 or 30 different categories and then like pick your top ones that you're going to do. So you've got your categories. Then we have the different types of posts. Okay. So we've got like lives / longer videos. Okay. So some people swear by going live. I don't see any more engagement when I go live versus pre-record and then upload the video. You get more data from like Facebook, but like, it's just, some people, the idea of going live terrifies them. So they won't do it. So I'm like, okay, fine. Record the video and then just upload the video. So that's one way. I'm sure there is a time limit on it, but it's pretty much anything longer than 60 seconds. Then there's like what we call like a stagnant post, and that's just picture with words. And then there would be like stories. Stories are the thing that are only going to hang around for like 24 hours. Okay, that's on both Facebook and Instagram. And then we have, let's see, okay, so on Facebook, we've got posts, videos. I mean, you can always like share other people's content too, but like stories. On Instagram, we have the addition of Reels. Reels is Instagram's TikTok videos, and those are going to be short videos. So you've got all these different ways that you can post. So then what I would say is just kind of pick one bucket and pick one thing and being like, oh, okay, what am I posting? I am posting a reel about how chiropractic helps birth outcomes. Great. You've got your thing and that your like category, you know what you're doing, and then you can go from there. And then the next day you can be like, okay, I'm posting a content, like a stagnant picture about what our day one process is like. Fantastic. But most people just get stuck here because what ends up happening is they're fine for a little bit. And then 3 weeks later, they're like, a reel about pregnancy. Oh, I just did a reel about pregnancy. I can't do that again. And so then they like keep like feeling like they need to reinvent the wheel, but we just don't repeat ourselves enough. And so then we get frustrated and overwhelmed.
Well, and I think the other interesting thing is, I love what you said. It's like, oh, well, I've already done that, so I can't do it again. But based on the algorithm, only a small percentage of your followers actually saw that content anyway, unless they went to your page and literally just looked at everything you posted.
Yep. So, and when you do it, I mean, granted, if we're talking like 6 months later, sure, take the same picture in the same post, like if you're on Facebook, but like you could probably take 3 weeks, 2 weeks later, a different photo from the same photo shoot. So like, let's say you were adjusting a pregnant woman, you're wearing the same sweater, but your CA took a couple different poses, or not poses, but like a couple different photos. So you could post a very, very similar photo, take the paragraphs that you wrote, rewrite them in a slightly different way. And yeah, you're going to nail it. You're going to see another, because even if you got that same, let's say 10% of your following saw that picture, some of them are pregnant, some of them know pregnant people, but there's a really good chance they didn't take action on it, because we know from marketing, how long does it take for somebody to actually take action on a message? But yet we're just so afraid to repeat ourselves. And it's like, Coca-Cola's not. They repeat that shit all the time. Like, why do we think we have to reinvent content all the time?
Oh, I can't even talk about advertising. My husband and I talk all the time about why the Charmin bears why is there a commercial for toilet paper? Like, I don't understand.
Because of the phrase, does a bear poop in the woods? Right. So that somebody was like, what if we talked about the bears who poop in the woods? And then it did well. And they're like, really? People like this? All right. And then all of a sudden the whole brand.
And it's so funny because you want to talk about it's probably the only commercial we ever talk about, but every time it comes on, we have a whole conversation about the bears. We also buy their toilet paper. So obviously it worked.
Yeah, it worked. It
worked. So you are a pediatric chiropractic practice. And so what type of reels have you done in your office? So we talked about, y'all should really watch it's so funny because the baby poop video it's not what you think it is. And it's really funny that it went viral. And I did laugh because it's funny, but I was like, I really can't believe it went viral.
No. And this isn't the question you asked, but like when I have people who reach out to me on social media, like I literally had a chiropractor who just started at her account for her brick and mortar, and her first post was a reel and it had like 5 million views. And then a couple days later, I see like, let's try and get this one to go viral also. Like she posted that. And I was just like, do I send her a message saying like, girl, you need to not be worrying about making viral reels, and you need to put your tennis shoes on and get some damn business cards and go walk door to door. Like you need to go viral in your town. Go show your face. I didn't say anything because she didn't ask for my opinion. And sometimes I do show restraint. But it is one of those things where like, don't waste your time worrying about the successfulness the success of a reel, because the ones that go viral, it's kind of weird. It's really weird. And I actually recommend the number one way to keep something from going viral, because again, I know this is the opposite of everything you've heard. Like, Lauryn, I'm supposed to want to go viral. No, you don't. Is to put a call to action on it. Put a call to action as your last 3 seconds. Click the link below to schedule a new patient. Go to our bio for more information on ear infections. Call our office. That usually will stop. Of those kinds of reels aren't going to go viral.
Well, I know I asked you a question. Now I'm going to change my mind. I've decided to ask you something different.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm here for it.
Sorry, y'all. We're having like my ADD just kicked in big time, which is funny because I talked about that when I was on the podcast. But so there are a lot of people out there. I know I was one of those people who I feel very I used to. I'm over it now, but I used to be really uncomfortable on video. And the reality is, in social media, video attracts attention. Plus, if you're trying to educate people about chiropractic, I love video because it gives them, they're able to see what you're talking about. So what is your advice to people who are they're looking for perfection? Because like, oh, well, I made that weird face, all those. I post my weird faces on social media all the time.
So there's a couple different points in there. I'm going to try and remember them all in my head, but I don't know. So yes, videos do better than posts. Now I still recommend doing posts, because sometimes, like a lot of times, the first 10 seconds of a video is all somebody's going to watch. So but you might get someone to actually read through 3 paragraphs where they never would have stayed around to listen to you speak those 3 paragraphs. So a combination is definitely necessary. Some people are audible learners. Some people are always on social media on the toilet, so they never have audio on. Like, it's just so you need your post for them too. What I like about video is that, yes, it can educate, but the number one thing that video does is shows that you're a human, and that it's an easier way to gain trust. A video of somebody talking and explaining something gains trust so much quicker and more efficiently than a stagnant post. But you must come across as your authentic self, because people are smart. So when I have someone who reaches out and says, like, I don't want to dance, I'm too old to dance, and I'm like, you can be too young to dance. If you don't want to dance, don't dance. Like, I don't think I dance on any of mine, although I saw this one and I'm like, you know what, maybe I will dance. If your current patients who know you, go to your Facebook or Instagram account and start watching videos of you and are like, who is this version of Dr. Smith? Like, does she like have a weird, like, quirky side that she doesn't bring out in office? If you don't have that quirky side, then like, you need to be you. So your patients should be able to go to your account and be like, oh yeah, that's my doctor. This is my doctor. And so often we're like really worried about coming across very poised and professional and not having any or like, and that's not realistic. You're going to come across like a weird fake robot. And then people are going to be like, there's something off about this person. I can't put my finger on it. They won't be able to identify that you're coming across too poised, but a red flag will go up in their brain because you're not a professional actor, but you're trying to act like someone else. So you're likely, I mean, maybe you are a professional actor, but like, you're likely not going to get an Emmy for your performance on being the most perfect chiropractor in the world. So you're going to fail at the job. So what you got to do is you have to be you. And one of the best ways to overcome it is just going live. It is totally like tattooed on your forehead. Don't actually quantity over quality. Maybe don't come with like the biggest message. Like, so don't come with this idea for your first video that you're going to explain chiropractic care. Like maybe come on video talking about, even a testimonial might be a little big, something really simple, like super, super simple. Maybe it's an event you're having in office, like, and it can be 15 seconds long. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that we're super pumped about this event that we have going on this Saturday, da, 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 da. Get off and just be like, I did it. I survived. And you just got to kind of go for it. I've got like bullet points, but even when my marketing person says like, hey, remember you're supposed to do a live today on this, I'm like, okay, I can do that. And then I get on and it's fine. But like, yeah, I've done a ton of video and am very comfortable being authentically broken in front of my patients. And I still don't want to. So you just kind of have to.
You do. And I think the ones that actually resonate more with the people in your community are the ones that really show your personality. Yours show your personality. And it's funny. I don't think I've ever seen you dance in a reel, but the way they flip sometimes, it does almost give the feeling like you're dancing. Speaking of reels, can you explain what a reel is for?
Yes. So reels are Instagram trying to obliterate TikTok. I'll go further, but like really that's what it is Instagram saw this app being super successful, TikTok, and was like, we want to squash them and be that. So they are 60-second or less videos, and there can be incredibly wide ranging in what they are. Like some of the best, or I don't even want to say best, but some of the most educational or successful reels, or reels that do the best with numbers or whatever, it might be like 3 to 6 seconds long. Some might be longer. But yeah, they're just a short video that you upload as a reel on Instagram. Because you could upload a 30-second video as a post, but this, if you want to be shown in the reels section, then you need to like upload it specifically as a reel. And creating reels, ooh, gosh, that is a whole, like, it's a learning curve. It definitely is. I have a whole course that's not for sale right now, so I'm not trying to sell, on like how to make reels, because it is like, now what button do I push type of thing. This is where it's really great if you've got like a 25-year-old CA who works in your office or associate, and just be like, that's how I learned. Like literally when I started learning, I like had a 21-year-old and I was like, who I know well. And I was like adjusting and I'm like, hey, so you're on TikTok, right? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, do you make the TikToks? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, can you like show me some things? And it was literally like, now what button? Okay, now what if I wanted to do that thing? And it's a learning curve that you just have to get over. But here's why it's worth it. I'm glad I remember my ADHD didn't kick in. Reels have the highest engagement of your followers of any other type of post. So within Instagram, a stagnant post picture, you're going to get 5%. If you post a video, you're going to like just a normal video, like a live or something like that, probably somewhere around 5%. If you post to your stories, you'll be lucky to get 10%. And if you post a reel in general, you are going to get 30 to 50%. Like, so it's substantially more. So that's like, I can't just keep it easy of like, well, don't post reels and then you won't go viral and then your account won't get trashed. No, post reels, because if you have 1,000 quality followers, if you post something, 300 to 500 of them are likely going to see that reel, even if it's bad, and not successful. So like, there's no other way to get that percentage of your own followers on your content organically without paying.
So is there like a magic formula for how often or when you should post in social?
Yeah, It depends on who you talk to. So I'm going to throw some generalizations that I know work for chiropractors. Okay. Because if you talk to someone who has a lot of free time, they're going to tell you 3 posts a day. That is asinine. No, don't do that. Now, if you have an associate or a front desk person that you can make part of their job doing some of then sure, but still it's a little overkill. So what I would say is try and stick to something that you can do consistently. 1 reel a week would be fantastic. That's fantastic. If you want that, so then I would say 2 to 3 posts a week. Fantastic. 2 longer videos a month where you are face to camera. Hey, everyone, you're not supposed to talk about what the hey, everyone, but hey, I'm Dr. Lauryn, and today I want to talk about X. 2 of those a month. Great. Posting on stories, I would say, you don't want to do 1 random post. So I would rather have on stories, you post 3 to 4 images 3 times a week versus a single image every single day. Because stories are stories. They're meant to be stories. And so what a lot of people do is they go for I'm going to post every single day, and they post 1 thing. And then people following are just what is this 1 thing? I don't get it. So I would much rather have you post a couple stories in a single day versus 1 every day.
That right there was I hate stories, and I never posted them because I don't understand what people are doing. Yeah. Now I know why. It's because they post that. I'm I
don't get bored.
I do.
And so you swipe. So that is the key. So Instagram will not just hand you story views. If you suck, you will see that in your engagement. And that's part of the reason that I'm so frustrated with my Instagram account is, okay, so our Instagram, a brick and mortar, has 15,000 whatever people. And then She Slays, chiropractor one, has 5,000. I get more engagement by far and more interaction and more views on my stories and my posts and my videos on She Slays than I do my brick and mortar, 2 to 3 times as much, because the followers we gained from going viral don't actually live in our area or care about our business.
So do you have a specific time of day that you try to post?
Nope. They kind of go all over the place with that. Used to be very oh, you definitely post at this time. That's when you think about your target market and where they're at. So I do love posting 8 a.m. on Saturdays, because I usually tell my staff, if we're not going to have any stories all week, I do want her posting one Friday evening or scheduling it to post Saturday morning, because our target market are females age 25 to 55, and they are on their phones drinking their coffee on Saturday morning, maybe 7 a.m., even better. But if I myself am sitting and drinking coffee until 11 and then I get inspired to do a reel, I'm not going to hold on to it. And I also have strong no social media for myself on Sunday rules. So I actually drop episodes on Sunday. In an ideal world, I would post things on Sunday saying hey, but I have rules that I don't go on it. So I don't think you should stress too much about when you post anymore. I think good content is going to do well, and it's just going to. You might need to be patient. So let's say that your following is highest, they're most active 7 p.m. on Fridays. Well, let's say you post something Friday morning and it really doesn't seem like it's doing well. By Saturday morning, by the time your 7 p.m. crowd got to it, you might have just as many views as if you posted it at the right time.
Yeah, I think ours sometimes fluctuates. It's really interesting because we're trying to reach business owners. So our ideal time of posting is actually at night, after dinner time.
Yep.
When people are
Yeah.
like their kids are going to bed and they're just trying to decompress at the end of the day, but we're advertising to other business professionals. So yeah, like when are your moms or your athletes or whoever your target market is?
The algorithm is getting so complicated that, it's one of those things where if you have the bandwidth to, I don't even want to say stress, if you have the bandwidth to focus on quality content first, consistency second, and then all these other like cherries on top, like time of day and things like that, then great. Go to town, go into like your analytics. It'll tell you when your audience is at their like highest engagement. Typically, what the social media people say is you don't want to post at that exact time. So here's what they say. Now, if what I'm about to say makes you want to click get off this webinar, and just delete your social media account, don't do it. This is like, that's the whole point of like, don't make this more complicated than it has to be. You can just post whenever the frick you want. But if you have the bandwidth, what they say is you want to post. So you want to go on the social media. You want to engage. I don't do this, okay? It kind of like makes me, but like you can try it, see if it works. You want to engage with the accounts that are like the accounts you're trying to get the attention of. So if you're trying to get businesses in your town, you would go and kind of peruse and like make some comments, make some likes. Let's say you spend 10 minutes doing this. And this is an hour before your high traffic time. Then you would post your thing, your whatever. But then you also want to hang out and wait until people start interacting and commenting on it so you can comment back to them. So this is where I say of like, yeah, they say there's an ideal way, but ultimately Instagram and Facebook realize that people who are saying that kind of advice are drowning out all the real people who own a business going, oh, for God's sake, why is it so complicated? So they're trying to make it just easier. So you can just post. And if your people like your post, they're going to see it. Whether you posted it 20 minutes before you should have, 3 hours late or 5 days late, like they'll keep it going. So one of the best things you can actually do is just try and get as much engagement back and forth between the people you want to consistently see your posts. And this is on Facebook and Instagram. So on Instagram, so they're kind of like this, like, I can't help myself response. So you can do this on stories. I'm really going off on a tangent, but it's helpful. Okay. So you can do this on your posts. So like, let's see, what would I say? Oh, one of my favorites. And this is kind of like, so this is where I say like on the She Slays the Day stuff, this is the kind of like insider stuff that I don't want my patients to hear. So on Facebook, we have moms, right? And we want Facebook to know we like moms. So one of our favorite things to do is on November 1st, post a picture of your kid in their costume below. And moms want to post a picture of their kid. And it's great. And it gets one of the highest engagements. But then here's what happens. Because remember, the algorithm is trying to learn. If Sarah posts a picture of her child on Blue Hills Chiropractic, that's our clinic, comment. The next time that tells Instagram or Facebook, that Sarah might be interested in the kind of content that Blue Hills Chiropractic does. So the next time Blue Hills Chiropractic posts a thing, it's going to go, well, Sarah might want to see this because she responded. So one of the best things you can do is kind of really push for some of these engagement things. On stories, it might be like, but you can't go too deep with it. Like people get really like, what is your number one goal you're trying to manifest in 2022? I'm not going to take the effort to type out, I don't know. Like we get really deep with these. And if you already have amazing engagement, that might work. But like, honestly, you just have to keep it really simple because when people are on social media, they're there to numb. They're not there to put a lot of thought into stuff. So if you're asking for engagement, it needs to be make it easy for them.
like post your favorite picture of your pet. Like
Mhm.
totally, or, show me one thing that made you smile today. And it will be random, a car, a
Yep.
dog, a kid, a flower.
Yep.
Because a lot of people are like, how do we get them to engage with us? No one engages with our posts.
Mhm. Another great one is like A, B, or C. Like, you know, you can't, Facebook took away the polling option, which I hate, but, like post 3 pictures of coffee. Like, and here's the deal is you can make this not icky. So like there's a fast way to do it, but like let's say you and your associate in your CA are going to get coffee, and let's say one of you drinks iced, one of you drinks black, and one of you drinks a chai tea latte. Take a photo of the 3 of you, shout out that coffee shop, be like, we love fueling up for our afternoon with Rick's coffee. Dr. Lauryn does black, Dr. Jess does this, and Morgan does this. A, B, or C, which one do you prefer? And so then it's a personalized picture. It's not like this stock photo, but it's getting engagement. And then sometimes it'll work, and sometimes it won't.
I think one of the best things is, though, it can't always be about chiropractic. Like it has to just be about life.
It needs to sometimes be about chiropractic.
It does.
Definitely no, not always. And it also should not only be about when you're closed. That's the other big mistake that I see people using social media for. We used to use, like, it used to be a thing that you would post like, we're closed for Veterans Day. No, don't do that anymore. Google hours, Google asks like, hey, are you closed for Veterans Day? And you respond. People go to your Facebook information and your Google account to find out if you're closed or open. Don't use too much Canva, like with the flags. Like, we're closed.
Well, and I think part of using social media is to build your personal brand. And I think that's I think that was the most powerful thing that you said to me when we were at that lunch. In the 45 minutes that we got to talk and then continued the conversation, because we kept running into each other after that. But it's about your personal brand. And if you're not letting people see your personality, your real life, like who you are as a person, not just a doctor, because you're a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, you could be a grandparent, or you're a brand new, a recent graduate. It is any of those things. Like your patients, sometimes I think we think of them as like they're this whole separate type of entity or thing. Like the same thing, like they're so different from us, when in reality, they like the same things we like, right? So if your target market is somebody who is just like you, who is a mom because you're a pediatric chiropractor, then we're going to post some mom stuff. Mm-hmm. Right? If you're about athletes and you play golf, show them you're playing golf, right? Talk about real life things.
Oh yeah, that definitely. I mean, that would go over super. So that is a big mistake that people do, is they keep their professional page way too professional. Like even if golfers aren't my target market, a photo of me like on the golf course at like 2:00 on a Wednesday and say like, Lauryn played hooky this morning and like got 9 holes in with her husband, that photo would go so great. So great, because it's different than people are used to seeing. They're like, oh, I can see like her personal life.
Right. And that's what people love. Isn't that why we Facebook stalk people?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Let them see that you are a human being and a person and a mom or a dad and all of those different things, because a lot of the questions that we have is like, what are your resources for content and how do you figure out content? And I think you should seriously think about yourself on social media, because even though I wasn't posting on social media, I would get on social media and I know what I like.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about it. Social media posts are included in a lot of my presentations. I tell people all the time, it's the first thing I do when I land in a new city is I open it up because it shows me chiropractic ads and I screenshot them all. And talk about what we should and shouldn't do, but that's a whole nother webinar. But I love going on Facebook. So what is the content that makes me laugh? I post the occasional kitten video because people love it, right?
Yep.
People like
Yeah,
it.
but pay attention. And more than likely, you're going to love photos that show the people's faces. You're gonna like it. And so that's a big thing. Pay attention while you're on like Instagram watching stories. You will, I guarantee you, like it more when you can see the person you're following's face. And so like that's the other things. We don't want to do the selfies because we're like, I'm not gonna take selfies. And it's like, okay, just letting you know there's more than one way to take a selfie. You don't have to, but you can also do that. But like it doesn't have to be that. So there's lots of different things.
It doesn't. Ask the 25-year-old in your office. They know everything. And so what resources would you recommend for educational content? Because we should preface this by saying this: when you are posting educational content to your social media page, my compliance is going to come out real quick. You be mindful of your Board of Examiners rules on what you can and cannot post.
Yes. Don't get in trouble.
Don't get in trouble.
I mean, if you can't be the expert on it, you probably shouldn't be posting it. So like, unless I'm understanding the question wrong. So Christy, do you understand?
I think they're like wanting to, like, if I were going to post something about the benefits of chiropractic for treatment of headaches, let me give that. Like, that's educational, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, who would you go to? So I'm going to post in here some of the resources, some of the websites that I know that you can pull those resources from. Yeah, I put Heidi Havoc research, clinical compass.
Yeah, so definitely research for sure. But you can also, if you can't find research on something, but you have a patient, it doesn't need to be, you don't need to make a big, broad statement like chiropractic cures, blah. Yeah. You can just say, like, we had the most amazing testimonial, or like the most amazing testimonial and story happened in our clinic last week. We had a patient who presented with yada, yada, yada. This is what we did. These are her current results. And she is so happy that she tried chiropractic. Assuming that's legal, you're just telling facts that happened in your clinic. So like, if you can't find something that you feel really backs up what you're saying, then just say, like, you're a doctor. Let me just remind you, you're a damn doctor. So your opinion, of course, obviously keeping in mind whatever Christy's blah, 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 blah saying, but like your experience with patients also counts. So you can just, if you can't find research, but you really want to talk about how you K-tape an athlete's knee, like, be like, I'm going to show you the number one complaint I see in our high school athletes right now and how I tape it. You're a doctor.
Oh, and I totally love those videos. Y'all know my friend, Dr. Jay Greenstein, comes onto the webinar several times a year. His social media is on fire right now. And you know, literally all they've shown is how to tape up like your shoulder, how to tape a knee, how to tape an ankle. They do exercises for stretching. They'll have somebody like demonstrate an exercise or a stretch, or it's nothing but that. And what's even crazier is they did one, and then their patients started sharing it with other people in their community, with other athletes who were having similar issues. Hey, here's that video I told you about how to tape your knee. Mm-hmm. This is my chiropractor. Do you know what kind of social proof that is about the awesomeness of your practice? And then we even talked about on your podcast is how do you get a patient to tell a testimony, like give a testimonial, mm-hmm. And talk to them, because having them give their testimonial is so powerful, because it's somebody, especially in a community of 9,000, everybody knows each other. I live in a community of 30,000 and we all know each other.
Yep.
So if I had somebody coming in and they sit down and they're like, oh my gosh, I've been suffering from migraine headaches since I was 15 years old. And then I came in and Dr. Drew started adjusting me and I haven't been on my migraine medication for 3 months and I've never felt better. And the crazy thing is I was still getting headaches. And now, I mean, it's been so long. I don't even know how I lived this long without being headache free. Like that's a great testimonial.
Yeah.
You know, because
and more powerful than research in conversion. Like obviously not in like the real world. But on social media, testimonials tend to do better than research. So
they do, because you're having somebody who's talking about their own personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and one of the biggest ways to do that is you got to tell a personal story. Everybody is dealing with some sort of pain. That's not what brings them into your office. What brings them into your office is that all of a sudden that pain got in the way of them doing something they wanted to do. So, you know, one of my suggestions is when they come in, they might be coming in because they're having low back pain, or I mean, I say that because everybody always talks about low back pain.
Yeah.
But right. So they have low back pain, but it's gotten in the way of their 5-mile daily power walk, or getting on the floor and playing with their grandchildren. And they will tell you that that is why they're coming in, is they can get on the floor and play with their grandkids.
Right.
So every time they come in, we're going to talk about how's it going with playing with their grandkids, so that when they complete care, you say, Lauryn, you came in because you couldn't get on the floor and play with the kids. Now you can. And chiropractic care helped you do that, correct? Yes. Wonderful. How would you feel about doing a 30-second video about how chiropractic care helped you get on the floor and play with your kids? And then you know what they do is they repeat exactly what you just said.
Yeah, what you just told them to say. Are you saying chiropractic changed your life? I didn't say what I'm hearing here. Okay, now say it to the camera.
Right. Okay, we're a little over time. Y'all forgive me. So here's what I'm going to do. I am so glad y'all are loving this. Dr. Lauryn is phenomenal. She talks a lot about social media, and what she talks about is just being a chiropractic business owner and being a mom and a friend and a wife and all of those things on her podcast, She Slays the Day. Not only that, is she is so hilarious. I laugh so much. And I will say, I was on an episode. It came out on December 18th. And I was terrified. And I do podcast interviews, but I was so nervous. And then afterward, I told my husband, I was like, that was like, I did so bad. Like that was like probably the worst interview I did. And I was—
You thought that?
I did. I felt that way. And then afterward, he called me and he's like, hey, your episode came out. He was like, it's really funny.
Yeah. Fantastic. You loser.
I loved it after I heard it, but I was terrified that I was like, oh my gosh, probably because I just talked about we talked about so many random things.
Well, I get people off their talking points a lot. And so it's not uncommon that people who are speakers and representatives of other companies, they come on with their like talking points. And I'm like, yeah. So you said, let's go back to that. Like, and so like, it can throw people who are used to like, shoot, I don't even know if I finished that first point. And I'm like, yeah, I got sidetracked and we talked about something else. We talked about hot dogs.
I mean, we did. It was so funny. He was like, honestly, he's like, that's probably the best podcast interview you've done. He goes, you laughed and you were so real. I was like, oh,
thanks, hubby.
But like I said, I just started listening to podcasts like a year ago because my friend Jay Greenstein started one. So I used to just listen to his, and then it became like part of my routine. And then I was like, I want to listen to another one. So I've been picking up different ones, you know, as I am exposed to them. And yours is like one of my favorite because you are hilarious. You make me laugh so much. And you say the things that people don't say, but they think. So, and I think that helps us get through those really awkward moments being a business owner, if you're a doctor, all the stuff, because y'all feel like you can't be struggling with the business aspects of being the business owner. Like you're supposed to know everything because doctor is your first name. And you're just like, oh, please, no, let's just talk about like, how do you do this? Like, this is ridiculous.
Yep.
How do we do this?
You are so
sweet. I love that.
Thank you. It means a ton to me.
So I posted her Instagram for She Slays the Day podcast and Facebook, because if you follow her, business on there, she's just going to bump you anyway.
No, I won't anymore because the whole thing is.
Well, you said you might take it.
Yeah, no, I might, but you might as well. Right now, everybody else is following it too, so might as well follow Blue Hills Chiropractic.
Blue Hills Chiropractic. So you can just search for it that way. But so a lot of y'all asked if it's recorded. I just posted in here to let y'all know it is recorded. A link will be sent to everyone this afternoon, so you can go back and listen to it at all times. You can click on ChiroHealthUSA.com/webinars, and on the right-hand side, hit archive webinars. You can search for Dr. Lauryn's episode. It'll be at the top of the page, or you can look by her name or under the topic social media. Dr. Lauryn, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. I love talking social media. I'm such a nerd.
You were the perfect guest to kick off the 2022 season.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all, we're going on year 11 of doing this webinar series.
You're like the OG podcaster.
Yeah, OG. Well, and it's funny because we are going to convert this. You're going to be our first podcast, episode 2. So,
yes.
So I'll let y'all know. It'll be on our website once it's posted. You can listen to the audio again while you're working out, walking, eating lunch in your car. So everybody have an amazing rest of your day, a fabulous week. And next week, I don't think we're talking about social media. Oh, our next episode, our next topic is Thursday, because on the 1st, it was Happy New Year and the No Surprises Act went into effect all at the same time. So Dr. Scott Munsterman will be here Thursday afternoon at 1:00 to talk about that. Next week, we're going to be talking about personal injury. And the following week, we're going to be talking about taxes.
Sexy. Oh man, you got a sexy lineup.
Well, but we are going to wrap it up at the end of the month where we're talking about the future of our workforce and hiring. How are we working more efficiently? Because there are more jobs available than there are people to fill them. So what can we do now to work more efficiently without burning out the teams that we have in place in our office?
I love it.
We got to talk about all that other stuff too. It's a wild
ride. It's the important stuff. It's important.
It's important. So guys, if you haven't registered, make sure you go to the website, check it out, register. Even if you can't attend live, a link to the recording will be sent to you. Everybody, see you on Thursday. Bye, y'all.
Bye.